Welcome to KHM Today Advisors, your weekly go-to resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and I am excited to be here with you on this last week of April. I sure hope that these April showers that are dumping outside my window will bring plentiful Mayflowers because I'm over this weather. But let's just think about that for a moment. How has April flown by so quickly? It's amazing to me. I just can't believe it. We have had some fantastic presenters and suppliers over the last month, and today is no different. We can't begin to thank our guests enough for their past contributions and the ones they are going to bring us today. Before we say goodbye to April, let's go ahead and welcome Chantel Knight from the KHM Education team with today's headlines. Welcome, Chantel.
Hello, how is everybody today?
Good. I had to laugh when you messaged me earlier saying, gosh, there's not a whole lot in the news today. And you have to wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So what do you have for us today?
Well, we do have some information for you today. I was able to scrounge a couple things up. First off, I know we are all anxious about this. The extension of the Real ID enforcement date to May 3rd, 2023. So it's not even 2022, it's 2023. They are doing this basically because of COVID and because the driver's license agencies are operating at limited capacity. So there's really no way that they could do this by the end of the year. So beginning May 3rd, every air traveler 18 years and older will need a Real ID compliant driver's license or identification card, state issued enhanced driver's license, or other TSA acceptable forms of identification at the airport security checkpoints for domestic air travel. So you've got some more time.
Great. Well, and I should say that we have been trying to get someone on the show from Homeland Security to talk about this. Because the fine points of what this means for travel are really, really important. So I'm going to keep trying to get him on here because I think it's really important for everyone to understand.
I think that would be fantastic. Absolutely. So Malia Hotels and Palladium Hotel Group ramp up staff vaccinations in the Dominican Republic. Basically, you know, what they're saying, they want their employees to be vaccinated. And Malia is said to set their aim at the 2,200 employees that they have in the DR. They would like them to be fully vaccinated. They are not mandating this. It is highly suggested. And the same goes with Palladium. They are also promising to provide shots for all staff members who wish to get vaccinated through April 30th. So I guess you could look at it too as, you know, they're really trying to help the people that live there as well to get the vaccinations if they want it. By implementing this program, they hope to position their properties as one of the safest vacation resorts in destination just in time for summer travel. And I don't think this is going to be the last that we hear of this. Next, so the traffic light system that we hear for Mexico, the stoplight for Mexico over the weekend, Quintana Roo goes from yellow to orange status for the next 2 weeks. Each stoplight color is determined by the health ministry using 10 different indicators, including case numbers, hospital occupancy levels, and its recommended restrictions to slow the spread of the virus. By ultimately state governments, they get to decide their own restrictions. So Quintana Roo has been moved from yellow to orange for the next 2 weeks. And in today's announcements on our agent-only Facebook group, I actually added a chart, and this is from the website Mexican Caribbean.travels/COVID-19. There's a great chart on there that shows what green, yellow, orange, and red means. Basically, yellow, they were pretty much all at 60%. Outdoor was at 70%. Now at orange, it's basically between 40 and 50% occupancy. So this is going to go on for the next couple weeks just to see how this affects their COVID numbers.
Chantel, any ideas to how that will work with hotels if a hotel is currently sold out at 60% for the next 2 weeks? Will those clients be shifted? We have any insight into that yet?
I don't have any insight into that. However, it may be worth, checking into. Keep watching your emails to see if you get anything from the supplier that you booked with. And
Great
we'll
idea.
just have to wait and see. I'm sorry. Don't have more information.
It's, you know what, this is a light bulb for all of us to go and start looking at our reservations and see what's out there and what phone calls we need to make to ensure that our guests have a room.
Absolutely. And last but not least, we're going to end on a fun note, as we always do. Bridgerton comes to life on this mini tour around London and Bath. So Kontiki has created a brand new tour of London and Bath to let fans of the show see some of the real life locations. As a treat, so they're going to start out in Bath, where you can visit Beaufort Square, Trim Street, Abbey Street, the Holborn Museum of Art, and Bath Assembly Rooms, which are all locations in the show. In addition, you can take a trip to Bath's famous Royal Crescent, which is depicted as both the Featherington family home and Sienna Rosso's London flat. And something that Matt talked about last week, I believe, Sally Bunn.
I was just going to ask you.
Yes, as a treat, guests will be able to visit Sally Lunn Bun Shop for a delicious bun. Overnight accommodation in Bath is at the Old Mill Hotel near River Avon. So the trip is available to book now, and it begins on September 16th of 2021. On its own, it begins at $965 per person, and if you want to add air, it would start at $1,700 per person. So go to the Kontiki website for more information.
Sign me up. I love everything Bridgerton, and the fact that you get to go to Sally Bunn as well. That's
Yes.
a highlight. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Chantel, so much. We'll see you later on in the show.
Okay. See ya.
Our first guest today is Brian Miller, an agent here at KHM Travel Group and also a part of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. One of Brian's specialties is special needs travel, and we thought this would be a great topic to finish off our month on family fun travel tips. So this family travel tip is brought to you by Beaches Resorts, leaders in family accommodations and children's programming. Please help me welcome Brian Miller, live from Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Hello there.
One of the best places to take children.
It is, although I do want to wish everyone a happy Kentucky Derby week.
Yes,
I'm not in Kentucky for the first time in 14 months, but I want to wish everybody a happy Kentucky Derby Day on Saturday.
So, well, thank you for that. I actually was thinking about that today, and you guys saw my hat last week, so I have to bust that out on Saturday as well.
There you go.
So you are here today to talk about families traveling with special needs family members, and you've got some recommendations for us. But believe it all begins with the same qualifying process that we would use for any client. You might just be asking particular questions or seeking particular answers to zero in on what the needs actually are. Can you just kind of describe what that looks like to you?
Certainly. I really think it's basically the same, as you say, the same qualifying process you always use, just sort of turbocharge it a little bit and make sure you're getting into these extra layers. I just always like to start by saying, and I'm sure this would apply to anybody, describe your ideal vacation for your family. Do you like to be exploring and busy? Do you like to be relaxing and low key? But then you need to just ask the specific question, can you describe any cognitive or physical disabilities or special medical conditions that members of your family, of your party might have? And that's going to trigger a lot of this. But really the real best open-ended question to me is, what obstacles do you encounter when you travel? And that's going to tell you, is it an issue with transportation? Is it an issue with food? Is it an issue with something when you get to the hotel, the resort, or the ship cabin, whatever it is? But once you know what those obstacles are, you can start chipping away at helping them overcome them. And then finally, is there any special equipment that you travel with? Do you have a wheelchair, a mobility scooter, Cpap, or things that you might need once you get there? A TTY phone, pool lifts, other mobility equipment. a hospital bed, shower chair. And again, all of those things, you know, somebody, if you just to say the subject of a wheelchair, that might trigger the fact that are they going to take their own, or do they need to rent it on site? Do they need an airport valet to get them to the plane, or might they drive their mobility scooter right down the ramp and take it right to the door of the plane? All of those things you need to make sure you know. And then, you know, in other words, and then when we talk about the word accommodations, I'm not talking about hotel rooms here. What special accommodations does someone in your family require? And again, is that mobility assistance? Is it dietary? Is it accessible cabins? You know, whatever it is. And then finally, I said finally before, but I saw a note here. One of our committee members on our DE&I committee, we call it's the Physical and Mental Challenges Subcommittee. Ashley Jacin does a lot of work with blind and sight impaired folks. And one of the things she does, and the tip she gave me, and of course she's very, you know, really this is a very special niche for her, but she works with clients to make sure how do they need to get the information about the trip once it's all set up, whether that's braille or large print or even an audio recording. So a lot to think about.
I love that you've said that these accommodations, you know, you named so many, from food all the way up to, you know, needing special equipment. And I think that's so important, and especially for advisors who maybe aren't used to having to ask those questions, starting with something simple like, are there any allergies or mobility issues I need to be aware of, really opens up that conversation for someone to feel free to answer that in great depth. You know, when you've got someone traveling, even if it's a peanut allergy, which is pretty commonplace, if they've never traveled on an airplane before, they might not know if they need something in particular to carry that EpiPen on board. So, you know, those are great questions to ask.
Well, and just the little bitty things. I mean, even a Cpap machine for sleep
Yes.
apnea, which is not a, you know, but people that may say, well, what do I do? Is this going to count as my carry-on bag? No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's an extra thing. And in fact,
How
the
do I get
mobility
distilled
scooter,
water for the Cpap machine?
exactly. You know, then the cruise lines are great about that. The cruise lines will arrange to have distilled water in the room and an extension cord for the Cpap machine. You just need
That's
to,
wonderful.
you know, we'll get into how you talk to those people and how you let them know. One of the things I know people are always concerned about is sort of the nomenclature and the wording around all of this. And really, I would say, you know, I mean, it's a sensitive subject, but don't worry about it. Really, the only word that's really sort of gone out of use is handicap. And that's an odd thing to say, because I pulled into a McDonald's the other day and here was a sign that said something about handicapped parking.
Yep.
But that's not the word, you know. So special needs, accessible, disability, disabled, those are all okay words. But really, I think even our subcommittee, we're talking about moving to just accessible travel, because it really becomes the idea of whatever the issue is that the traveler's facing, what can we do to break down the barriers and make it accessible to them to enjoy the trip.
Right. And at the end of the day, Brian, it's all about that research piece. Some of this can be a little bit like putting puzzle pieces together. If you need accessible accommodations on a cruise ship, you're looking for that first. Then you're looking for that pre-cruise hotel with an accessible room. So this can be a little bit of, you know, putting puzzle pieces together and making sure that everything fits before money is placed down, right?
Well, it really is, and I guess I would say that the rewards to this kind of travel advising are wonderful, incredible payback, and the people you meet and the things you get to do. But if you're not a detail-oriented person, it might be something to steer clear of, because you do need to do that research, and you do need to plan even earlier than you normally would, because there's just an extra layer of detail that might not be there for a different family. One thing I would say though is, and there are lots of resources to help you learn how to do this, and in fact, people that will do this for you in terms of tour operators and things. We work with a couple of especially Special Needs at Sea is a wonderful company. They provide the equipment on cruises, and in fact, I've used them on land hotels for wheelchairs, mobility scooters, hospital beds, shower chairs, Hoyer lifts, all kinds of amazing medical equipment. And you know, you arrange this, and it's in the cruise cabin when the clients arrive on board. There's another company we work with called Accessible Travel Solutions that is essentially a tour operator that's putting together 3 and 4 up to week-long, not just cruises, all kinds of tours, and everything is built around the needs of the travelers that do have these special needs. And just about every supplier out there, especially the cruise lines, the resorts, and the amusement parks, they've got designated departments that will deal specifically with all the accessible travel needs. You need to make them your new best friends, get on the phone with them, make sure that, you know, all of these things are in, you know, the fact that they need a wheelchair valet to meet them at the curb, all the way down to, you know, they do need that from the check-in to onboard ship. So those folks are going to be a huge help. Contact them early and often. And then, you know, as you're looking through all of these elements of the trip, just map it out: airline, airport, transfers, hotel, equipment, oxygen, beach wheelchairs, dietary. It's just, you know, and then once you just start knocking them down, and again, it's a way to say, you look at it and think of it as a way to just take away the obstacles and make this, because there are, I mean, all the stuff you read, people who have these special needs, they want to travel. And this is a huge, huge untapped market for travel agents and travel advisors to get out there and help.
Well, thank you so much. And we should mention that Sam, our fantastic producer, has been putting the a list of resources that you have in the chat box. So you're welcome to use those.
Oh, good. Okay.
Take a picture of those, and you can look at those on your own time. We should also mention, Brian, in closing, that we have to remember that the American Disabilities Act only applies to things in the United States. So we can't expect to see these measures being taken in other countries.
That's right. I mean, it isn't a requirement. I know there's a lot of places that are working real hard to do that. They're aware of this, but you know, and even here, I've had my mobility scooter and I had a rough afternoon on the cobblestones in historic Colonial Williamsburg one time. So, but you wouldn't want it any other way. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, but take advantage of these. The suppliers, many of them have training programs. You can get certified, and this is a great opportunity to get out there and find a new niche for your market.
Perfect. Well, Brian, we can't thank you enough for sharing your knowledge with us today and all the hard work that you do with the DE&I committee here at KHM Travel Group. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your time with family in Hershey.
Thank you so much. Good to see everyone.
All right. So our next guest is a fan favorite from the KHM marketing team. Carolyn Sakarik is here because she's going to share with us how to capture an audience with Facebook frames. So I don't know if you have ever put on the Travel Advisor Facebook frame or one for a cause that you've been passionate about. I have never done this. And so Carolyn's here to share with us how to do it on Facebook, but how to do it so that it captures the attention, because we all know you change one thing on Facebook and all of a sudden you're getting lots of likes and changes. So welcome, Carolyn.
Hi, Carolyn, and hi, agents. I'm Carolyn from the marketing team, even though it says Ashley, she's up next. So I'm so excited to be back for today's Market Smart segment, which is all about a fun way, as Carolyn said, to stand out on social media and also promote something that you're passionate about, your travel agency, your love of travel, or even a cause that you care greatly about. And that is using a Facebook profile frame. So on Facebook, most of our agents, they start a business page, page for their business, for their travel agency or a group, instead of using their personal social media profile, which is great. But remember, you're probably adding friends on Facebook all the time. So how do you let people know that you're a travel agent, especially your newer friends or followers? Well, one way is that you can list your travel agency as one of the places that you work, or your work. And then when you do this, you can also tag your agency page if you have one. So sometimes when people are looking at your about profile, they'll see that you are a travel agent and they'll click on your page and hopefully like it and become your follower. And you can also from time to time share posts that you make in your group or on your Facebook page on your personal page. It's a good idea to maybe do that not too often, but every once in a while to catch those newer people. But today I want to talk about this fun way to remind your followers that you can help them plan their next vacation, and that is to add a frame to your profile picture. So you may have seen some of these frames on other agents' profiles and wondered where they got them. I know I saw a new one pop up just last week, and as Carolyn said, she didn't know we had made these, I think last year.
Well, I think I knew they existed. I just didn't know who did them. And when we were talking about this, I had no idea that KHM actually provided some of these. So you're going to share your screen with us, right?
I am. So KHM Travel Group's marketing team, I'm not sure if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So you see my Facebook profile page. Let me just, I don't know how to, okay, let me minimize this because I don't want to see this right now. Okay. So when you log into Facebook, I'm going to show you how to access the ones that the marketing team made last year, and anybody can use these. So even if you're not a KHM Travel Group agent, these are public and you can find them when you're just adding a page. So you log into Facebook, click on your profile, and see there's my lovely photo underneath this baby elephant in Thailand. Facebook covers are another way to promote your agency, and we can talk about that another time. But what you do is just click on your current picture, and there's no option here to add a frame. You click Update Profile Picture. Okay, and then you'll see pictures I've used in the past. I guess apparently I used a photo with Will Medina there. Here's some recent things I uploaded, but what you will see right here is add a frame. So click Add a Frame, and then it's going to show you a little preview box of what your new profile picture will look like. So under Choose a Frame, simply type in KHM Travel Group. So don't worry, these don't have our logo or our company branding. These are made for you. So currently we have about 6 of them, and then there's one down here that comes up, and I'm not sure why, because we didn't make that one. But as you can see how it adds a little preview. This first one, since we just heard from Brian, I thought I would quickly mention that we have this Diversity Rocks Facebook page for anyone who wants to show their support of our DE&I initiative. And for any committee members, we also have this one here, number 4. And see how that changes? You can also change your picture. You could zoom in if you want to, depending on where the graphical elements are or the text. You might need to make a few tweaks. Now, some of these frames are going to look better than others, depending on what your profile picture is. And like I said, or maybe I didn't say, but in a few weeks, I'm going to come back and talk about how you can create your own with your own agency branding. And a PNG of your logo. So get your PNG logo files ready. Okay, so I'm going to pick my favorite one right here, which if you're friends with me on Facebook, this is the one I've had for a while. It says Travel Advisors to Make Dreams Come True. So one other interesting thing to note is that you can use this for a temporary period of time. So if you want to make this your profile picture forever, you would hit never. So that's what I'm going to do. So switch back to previous profile picture. You can switch it back in a week, a day, a month, or even at a custom date and time. This is really helpful if you're promoting a cause, such as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month or Travel Agent Awareness Month. You can switch it back, have it automatically switch back for you. But if I wanted to set this, I would click Use as Profile Picture to apply the frame. So when I do that, which I'm going to do right now, Facebook automatically shares this in the news feed. So as you can see, when I scroll down, it just said Carolyn updated her, oh, well, it's showing the previous update I made, but you'll see a post like this in the news feed. And what you want to do is maybe take the extra step of commenting, hope you like my new frame. Did you know I'm a travel agent? Or, you know, follow me here and tag your agency page. So that's just a way you can kind of not only promote via the profile picture itself, but via the news feed. I think maybe I have to refresh for that to happen.
I love it. And this is such a great way. I changed my profile picture for the first time, like in 2 years, and I had like 250 likes, views, comments, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that people cared that much about what your profile picture was, but it truly is a way. And especially like you said, if you comment on it and say, please like my business page, it's a fantastic way to get new views.
Exactly. And you can search for any cause that you care about. If you just type in travel here or maybe a destination, there might be one that somebody else has made. Here's one, travel agent. Oh, nope, somebody from Cruise Planners. And They may be sharing one. It doesn't say cruise planners, so use theirs. These are all free for anyone to use. Here's another Travel Advisors Make Dreams Come True. That looks a lot like ours. As you will see here, if you go to apply a new one, you have to switch back to your previous profile picture first.
Okay.
And oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is that we recommend doing this from a desktop. That's how I've been showing you today, and not a mobile device, because it's just more accessible and the process can vary slightly. So if you're going to be trying to do this on your phone, there is a way to do it, but you just might not have as many options. So yeah, I think that's about everything that I have. I'm just
Wonderful.
sharing my
Thank you
screen,
so
and
much
like I
for
said, I'll be
being here.
back.
Yeah, we're going to have you back to show us how we can create our own in the future. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, wonderful. I think, Sam, I need to be made the presenter again. Yes, there we go. Show my screen. Well, I am super excited for our next guest. Let's see if you guys can see my screen here. I am like super huge on my computer right now. Our next guests have a passion for the beautiful islands of Cayman. While the islands aren't open yet for tourism, there is so much we can be doing now in order to prepare for that opening day. It is such an incredibly beautiful island, and when it is open to travelers, we want to make sure that we are prepared to sell it. So please welcome my guests, Dan Togger and Cheryl Hudak from the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much.
We're so excited that you're here. Let's start with the fact that, well, we were going to show a beautiful video, and Sam's going to put the link to that video in the chat box. It is absolutely stunning. It is one of my favorite destinations. I've only had the pleasure of visiting it on a cruise ship, but it is a wow even for a few hours. The watercolor, the beach color, just everything about it is just stunning. What can you share with us a little bit? I'd like you to share with us a little bit about the geography and what we can expect when we land in destination. So you guys will see we have a little bit of a map up on the screen. If I land, where am I landing?
Sure. Well, if you go to the left there, you see Owen Roberts Airport, International Airport, on the lower left. I don't know if we can see your mouse, but it's right by Georgetown.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
And it's a brand new airport, so I'll just start there. It's 3 times the size, the same location, but we're a luxury destination. And to be quite frank, if you were at our airport a couple of years ago, you would say, okay, it's a beautiful destination, it's luxury, but the airport. Honestly, from that starting point is really where the welcome to Caymankind really evolves. We're very happy with the airport. There's a meet and greet service. So hopefully, when we do open for leisure travel, the advisors and their clients will be able to enjoy it. But once you fly right into the airport, you'll see 7 Mile Beach, where is that West Bay area on the map. That's the majority of the hotels. So literally, you could land, and once you go through customs and immigration, within 20-25 minutes, your toes will be on the sand if you're at one of the properties on 7 Mile Beach.
So this is so important because, I live in Denver, so getting to the Caribbean can be a jaunt. Now, for a while, we did have nonstops on Cayman Airways. I'm hoping those are going to come back. But I'm one of those people that when I land, I really need to be to my hotel. I don't want to drive another hour or two. So the fact that you're saying that most of the major hotels are 25 minutes away is like music to my ears.
Yeah, and even if you are staying at, say, some of the properties, I'll say the furthest point, which would be Rum Point from the airport, that's only about 30 to 35 minutes, and it's a beautiful scenic drive. You can either do a cut through or just go around. But really, it's a small, Grand Cayman is a very small destination. I mean, population-wise, Cheryl, the last we checked, it was about 58,000. So it really is a small destination, a small trio of islands. And getting around, I mean, you can go from one point to the other point in about 45 minutes total, or to an hour. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the word Caymankind. Can you explain? Because that's a big piece of the culture.
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Yeah, Cheryl, I'll take a crack at this, and if there's anything I missed, please feel free to chime in. Caymankind was part of an advertising campaign that was developed, and I was lucky to be part of it in my previous role. I was part of digital marketing. But that was an advertising campaign that we rolled out about almost 10 years ago. And what that entailed was it was showcasing just the ability and the welcomeness of the people. So they needed a term like, what is the hospitality? And you have this melting pot of 135 nationalities. I sincerely apologize for my dog right now. We just had a UPS, and usually I'll try to go back and forth with you. I apologize.
Delivered? That's when my dog barks.
Oh, of course, all times I'm looking at my Amazon schedule. I'm like, I hope it doesn't come during this time. I'm sure it doesn't.
That's all right.
But I think she's okay now. But yeah, so we were trying to define a term. What is that the people represent? I mean, we're known as the world's friendliest country. I mean, Forbes magazine named us that a few years back. So we have that as the justification. But it's the welcomeness of the people, the ability to literally get lost on the island and find your own way. It's the culinary aspect. It's the friendliness that comes with the attractions and also to the hotel staff. So it evolved from an advertising campaign, and then it's now in the vernacular of the people, Cayman kind. Oh my God, I apologize. I'm gonna go on mute and Cheryl's gonna finish my point until my dog shuts up. Thank you.
You've got it's dog food that's being delivered from Amazon. One of the wonderful things about traveling is being able to immerse yourself in the culture when you arrive in destination. And one of the great things about Cayman is that there aren't all-inclusives. So the opportunity to go beyond the walls of the resort is easily accessible. So what are the people like? What would we experience if we were just, driving down the street or walking down the street? What are the people like? What's the culture like in Cayman?
Well, I think it's really where Dan started to talk about, Carolyn. It's that Cayman kind. It's that feeling. It's the culture. It's the kindness. But one of the points that you did hit on is that we don't have a lot of the all-inclusives like some of the other Caribbean and Mexican destinations do. And the reason for that is we are known as the culinary capital of the Caribbean. So we have over 200 restaurants available for the clients to choose from. They can go from food trucks to mom and pop to farm to table, all the way up to 5-star dining. So there's certainly a lot of options for them to be able to choose from. Depending again, if you're traveling with a family, if it's you and your spouse and just want that romantic evening out on the beach, so you do have a lot of options there to be able to choose from. As far as things to do and when you travel throughout the island, as Dan mentioned, the islands are not that large, so it's very easy to get around, but there's a lot of activities. Probably one of the most popular, besides visiting 7 Mile Beach, is going out to Stingray City. And this is really where you get a chance to either snorkel or dive with the stingrays. I don't want to say that they're tame, but they will come right up to you. I had the opportunity to do it many years ago, and they really will take the food right out of your hand. So when you have little kids in the water with you and they see this wingspan of like 6 to 8 feet coming at them, and then they just kind of swoop down and just take the food right out of their hands, it really is a fun, amazing experience. We also have the Turtle Center. Again, a great family experience. Crystal Caves opened up a couple of years ago. Diving, we are known as the diving capital. We have over 365 dive and snorkeling sites. So again, if your clients aren't avid divers, but they just want to go out snorkeling, for the most part, we have 100-foot visibility. So for those people who really want to get outside and enjoy the water and that life outside of our 4 walls that we have been in for the last 14 months, to be able to do it when we finally open up again.
I can give a personal testimony to the Turtle Center. That is a highlight in our family. My daughter is obsessed with turtles, always has been, and that was like the supreme experience ever to go there. So let's talk about the diving and the snorkeling, because it's certainly prevalent on the Big Island, but I believe to the south is Cayman Brac and is it Little Cayman?
Correct.
So just south of the map that we saw, and those are big diving destinations.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, you can dive on all 3 of the islands. So depending on where your clients, want to end up. And again, keep in mind when you're selling the islands, they do have a feel about them. So if they're going into Grand Cayman, it's going to be very cosmopolitan. You're going to find more nightlife, things to do. When you go over to Cayman Brac, it's going to be for those that want adventure. They're very adventuresome themselves. We have a 155-foot bluff that can be found there. You're going to have hiking trails. You're going to, again, have the diving and the snorkeling available. And then Little Cayman, it's going to be very tranquil, very secluded. It's for those people that just want to unplug. You're going to have some great, again, water activities that you can do. You can do paddle boarding, kayaks, and go over to Owen Island, which is actually the 4th little island, totally deserted. Take a picnic over there, spend the day, and really just relax. So you do have the ability to dive off any of the islands. We do have some sunken wrecks, one of them known as the Kitty Wake. So there's quite a few different, for those that like to do wreck diving, you do have some of that available. And then of course, one of the most popular thing is the wall, where you have a significant drop off after you go out so far. But for those people that like to dive, it really is a very cool experience.
Yeah, and if I could just come in about the diving as well, it's a very unique destination. It's known as the birthplace of recreational diving for a reason. And Cheryl mentioned the 365 dive sites. It's actually more than that. I think we're starting to approach almost close to 380, but it's one dive site for every day of the year. But it's an odd destination from the standpoint of that it's perfect for the advanced diver. You know, those old pirates, and we go to a lot of dive shows and we're visiting dive shops and they have wonderful stories. But honestly, from a learn to dive perspective, from 13 on, it really is perfect because there's no runoff and the waters are very calm. So we're located in the Cayman Trench, so all 3 islands, and actually the sister islands, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, they're actually just northeast, and they're not exactly south.
Okay.
But you do need the puddle jumper to get from Grand Cayman to the sister islands. There's no ferry service in between all 3 islands. You can see Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, but you cannot see Grand Cayman. It's just too far. It's about a half-hour puddle jumping flight.
So thanks for bringing up the transportation piece. So no ferry to the smaller islands, puddle jumper. What about within Grand Cayman? Do we want to rent a car, or is it easy to taxi, Uber, walk?
Well, again, I think it kind of depends on where you're staying. Just keep in mind, we are British territory. For those clients that do want to rent a car, they can do it for, they certainly don't need to do it for the entire week that they're there. But keep in mind, we do drive on the left side of the road. So it might be a little intimidating if you've never done it before. Again, there's a great taxi service. There is a bus service that goes around the island. There's different places you can jump on and off. It's anywhere from like $2 to $5. So not overly expensive. And then for a few of the hotels like the Holiday Inn, it's not located right on 7 Mile Beach. So they also offer a shuttle that will take your clients down to both 7 Mile Beach and Camana Bay. And Camana Bay is a great area that has all types of shops and all types of restaurants, evening entertainment. So again, depending on what they're really looking for, you can easily get around the island without a rental car. But a lot of the major resorts will rent them right there on property. So you can rent a car for a day or two to do your own exploring and then drop it off and kind of go back to one of the other services that are offered.
Awesome.
And someone that's not the best driver, which is myself included, honestly, I love the freedom of a rental car. It really depends on the choice or exactly with the comfort level. But there's, I would say, 5 traffic lights on Grand Cayman. So once you get through the airport, if you can make it through that first traffic light around the first roundabout, you are good to go.
I love it. Well, Chantel has let me know that we've got some questions. So Chantel, if you don't mind popping back on the screen, we'll get a few of those questions answered.
Absolutely. First question is, do you have a time frame on when Grand Cayman is going to open?
Yep, that's the hard question, Cheryl. If you want to take that, that's up to you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Dan. Well, I'm going to say we're optimistic. We're looking at, hopefully end of 3rd quarter, beginning of 4th quarter. One of the things that the islands have done is really taking care of the people on the island. They want to make sure, as Dan mentioned, when you have a population on Little Cayman of really less than 200 people, you can imagine what COVID could do to an island of that size. So they really down there are pretty much mask-free, living like how we used to be able to live. Right now, you do have to quarantine if you're going in because of business reasons, if you're going in because you own property down there, or you've come outside the US and are going back and you live there. So right now, if you have to go in like that, it's a 14-day quarantine if you've been not vaccinated at all. 10 days if you've been vaccinated. So again, we realize for the leisure traveler that that's just not going to work. So we're hoping that as we look at the end of summer, beginning of fall, that again, once we get the okay to have the majority of the people have chosen to be vaccinated, we can open up again. We'll have our flight schedules up and going, and the hoteliers as well.
Okay.
And I'll just add some of the factors that are into it. So there is a plan in place. There's committees, government's working very closely with private sector right now. Our team, we have regional reps all over the country. We are ready to go. We want to communicate that plan, and when we do have it, it's not going to be start and stop. You're going to have a concrete plan, and you're going to know what to tell your clients. But there's a couple of reasons, as Cheryl mentioned. It's part of the vaccination plan locally, so they want to get to a certain threshold for the local population. And obviously they're watching the US numbers as well, which they continue to prove. I know there's some hot spots in the States as well, but they are watching that. The US is responsible for roughly about 70 to 80% of air arrival traffic to the destination. So obviously it's the key market that we're following. But is so much pent up demand, as I'm sure many of the advisors on this call will see. We're getting it as well. And all we can do right now as a sales team is work with you. We have a couple of activities for next month. It's Travel Advisor Appreciation Month. So if you go to visitcaymanislands.com/trade, you can see some more details on that. Because we want to be top of mind. We want obviously to be in our consideration set. But when we're ready to go with our plan and to communicate that out there, we know that it's going to be seamless at that point. And just one final point, Cheryl mentioned about the quarantine. It's 14 or 10 with the vaccination. We will obviously where we want to go, where we're comfortable with leisure travel, is no quarantine. The next phase may or may not be a smaller version of that quarantine as we phase into it. But Cheryl's correct as far as our projections on when we think we're going to open, and we're very optimistic as we stand right now.
Fantastic.
Okay, just a couple other questions. Kelly would like to know, is there any news about Cayman Cookout 2022?
That's my favorite event on the island. I've been to so many of them. I do not have that information. I anticipate it is going to be on. All the chefs last year that wanted to come down, including Jose Andreas and Lydia, and of course Erica Perry is the host of that event. I believe it will be on if we are open as for leisure travel, which we definitely should be come time for Martin Luther King weekend in 2022. Usually they make some announcements if it's a given year in July where they announce the lineup, and tickets will go on sale generally for Amex Black Card holders September 1st, and then it rolls out in September and October for tickets for the general public. So once we have those details, but I know even in a given year, it wouldn't happen until the summer anyway, as far as the announcements.
Okay.
One more, Chantel, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So one more time, guys, to learn more about Cayman Islands, it's visitcaymanislands.com, correct?
Visit CaymanIslands.com, but we do have travel advisor pages on our website, so some information, some resources. The easiest way to go to get to those pages, it would be visitcaymanislands.com/trade, and that would take you to the homepage of our travel advisor website. And just one little plug: CaymanRewards.com is our training site and reward site. CaymanRewards.com if you want to be a Cayman Kind specialist. We still have one of the most rewarding programs in the Caribbean, so we're very proud of that. But we want the bookings, so we want to start awarding. So hopefully very soon.
Well, I can't thank you both for being here. Before I let you go, we have a giveaway to do. You guys, one lucky winner here is going to get this awesome package with my favorite. I love these flip-flop soaps. They're a hot item in my house. Fighting with them. A great folder for your clients and a notebook. So Cheryl, why don't you pick a number between 1 and, I gotta look to see how many are on. We have 110.
Okay, we're gonna go with number 8.
Number 8. Chantel, who's our person, our big winner? And if we don't know yet, we'll let you know by the end of the show. There she is.
Okay, I counted.
Got it.
Anna Maria Lankies. Congratulations.
Excellent.
All
And,
righty.
and if you don't
Congrats.
mind, I'm going to throw a softball in because we like to surprise and delight and show Cayman kindness. We're going to do one more. So Cheryl, you don't even know, but we'll do another package. Why not? And we'll say 42. So we have 2 winners today. If you don't mind,
Yeah.
Carolyn, I didn't mean to.
That
think
is
over.
awesome. Might take Chantel a little bit to
No worries,
announce
yeah.
our winner.
How
But
about at the
I will
end?
make
How
sure
about
I
at the
get those
end?
names to you guys.
No worries.
Thank you both so much for being here. We appreciate your partnership, and we can't wait to visit the beautiful islands of Cayman when it is safe. So thanks so much for your
Thank
time
you.
today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, ladies.
All right, you guys, I am excited for our next guest because got to flip my page here. I just get so out of control. Oh, you know what? Well, nope, I'll save that. So as we head into May, we are excited for so many of you to start going on FAMs that are going to be happening in the next couple of months. For the next couple of weeks, we are going to be giving you some tips each week on how to prep for your FAM. So to help us with these preparations, please welcome Ashley Jacin from the KHM Travel Group events team. Welcome, Ashley. We should mention that this segment is brought to you by Delta Vacations. Delta Vacations is the convenient one-stop shop for travel advisors. Visit World Agent Direct for the latest travel incentives. Hi, Ashley. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, so you have the fun job of working with hoteliers and suppliers to set up FAMs for travel advisors. So for some of our agents, this season of FAMs for FAM Forward in May will be their first FAM ever. We've got a bunch leaving next week to head to Cancun to Planet Hollywood. You'll be with them. So as we begin to say adios to this group of travel advisors, there are some expectations and things that we should prep for in order to be prepared for this experience. And we should say that while these FAMs are for KHM agents, these expectations that you're going to lay out for us today really are across the board, no matter who you are, what agency you're with. They are kind of universal for all agents when they're going on a FAM.
Yes, yeah, they are. We have KHM expectations, but they're pretty universal for any FAM.
So the first one, let's talk about, is the dress code. When you go down to any destination, right, it can sometimes be super, super hot. Sometimes it can be unseasonably cold. It can be rainy. So what should agents be packing as far as, clothing for all the different events that could be happening on during their time down there?
We like to say it's a high school dress code. So, keep it professional. We say the shorts and dresses, keep them fingertip length when your hands are at your sides, no spaghetti straps, things like that. We also say definitely if you have logo wear for your travel agency, absolutely wear those, show it off, polos, anything that's basically kind of business casual. No, you are on resort, but it's going to be hot, but just professional. Keep it casual. Comfortable walking shoes. For me, I'm perfectly comfortable walking 5 miles in flip-flops. That's me personally. Most people on FAMs definitely bring comfortable walking shoes. We do a lot of walking, so tennis shoes, sandals, things like that.
Great. So participation in the FAM is really important, and we always want to remind agents that they are receiving this perk at a discounted rate, but there are expectations that revolve around their participation. So it could be site visits or excursions, cocktail parties, dinners, things like that. So what's the rule of thumb when we're talking about participation?
So every FAM is so different, every itinerary. We have FAMs that are a lot of free time. We have FAMs that are a lot of site inspections. So most FAMs will have site inspections and some trainings, as well as a welcome dinner and a farewell dinner on the first and last night. So site inspections, trainings, things like that, they are all absolutely mandatory for all agents. Now, exceptions are made if someone is sick or something like that, but yeah, they are mandatory because that is why you're there, that you have to see those resorts. So, Yeah, the welcome dinner and the farewell dinners, those are also mandatory, except for guests, if guests are permitted on FAMs. But yeah, those are definitely mandatory, and you want to go to them.
Great. So let's touch on, since you brought up guests, let's talk about guests. It's pretty clear when guests are allowed, right? It comes out in the invitation. So it really doesn't do any good for someone to then ask, is a guest allowed, right? If a guest is allowed, it's going to be given to you in the original information about the FAM, correct?
Yes. Yeah, on our registration page for our FAMs, under pricing, it'll say agent pricing. And then if there's another line that says agent plus guest, that means that guests are allowed on that FAM.
And then it's really up to the supplier or the hotelier, whoever's running the FAM, as to whether or not where the guests fit into the program, whether or not they're just there to enjoy the resort, or if they're able to participate in some of the activities, correct?
Yeah, that is up to our host, our supplier. Most of the time, from all the FAMs I've experienced, the welcome dinner, the farewell cocktail party, guests are usually allowed on those, as well as if there's any partners providing an excursion for the FAM, guests are usually permitted on those. Site inspections and trainings, usually no, guests are not permitted on those, which is, great. They get a vacation, they get to stay home or stay at the resort and do all the all-inclusive perks.
And then finally, we should mention behavior. It's so easy to relax on these FAMs. We have an incredible job ahead of us. And so sometimes we forget that we're actually on a work trip, and we think of ourselves on a fun vacation. So what do we need to be reminded of when it comes to our behavior?
Our rule of thumb is just remember that this is a work trip. It's not a vacation. Yes, you get free time, and we want you to use it. The host resort will absolutely give us free time because they want you to experience the resort as a client, as a guest. Our biggest thing is just be mindful and be respectful of guests on the resort. We ask that you do not solicit your business to other guests on the resort. Go up to someone by the pool and say, hey, I'm a travel agent. Can I book your next trip? It's all inclusive. Obviously, all the alcohol's included, but we say know your limits, know when to excuse yourself, and just be respectful, especially after you've had a long day of site inspections. Not every resort is for everybody, but there is a resort for every client. So if you go to a resort and it's not for you, that's totally fine, but just be respectful. Don't walk in and say, ooh, I don't like that one. Just be respectful to your host, the other agents, the clients at the resort with you.
I love it. And then finally, some of the things, because we've got so many new agents that are participating in these FAMs, what are some tips when we do a site visit? What do we need to make sure we do or don't do when we're visiting different hotels?
Well, the site inspections are, for one, they're fast paced. There are times where we have 5 to 6 in a day. So when you're in the rooms, main rule of thumb, don't sit on the furniture, don't sit on the beds, don't use the facilities. If you're walking by a pool bar, don't stop and get a drink. Also, for pictures, there might be 15 other agents behind you trying to get in the room to take a picture. So get in, take your picture, move to the next. Site inspections, especially when we're walking down the little hallways, we come out as mass herds. There's 20 of us. And if you see a guest coming through, you guys all move to the right. We move single file, let the guests walk through. But yeah, so for site inspections, definitely, don't sit on the furniture, don't use the facilities, get in and out, be respectful of guests.
Perfect. And we should mention that Sam, our producer, has just put a fantastic link. If you're a KHM agent, it's to a site inspection form that's actually located in the portal. So if you are leaving on one of these fantastic FAMs over the next month, feel free to take a look at that, adjust it to your needs, print it out, and bring them with you. So we like to think that some of these things are no-brainers, but we hope you picked up a little something today. We want to make sure that we're representing ourselves well, our host agency well, and we want to make sure that we're treating our hosts with respect. So thank you, Ashley, for being here today. Have a great time next week. I'm sure you're like itching because it's been so long. So have a great time. Be sure to tune in next week, you guys. This is just the first week of 4 more. With 4 more. And we have an agent that's going to talk to you about the best way to capture what you're visiting on site visits. That can be overwhelming for some people. So she's going to teach us her tips and tricks for how to capture those images and those notes. So thank you so much, Ashley. Have a great time.
Thank you for having me.
And our final segment today, you guys, I am so excited for this. As an education team, we are always hearing about different scenarios and different situations, and agents are looking for feedback as to how to handle this. So our new segment is called What Would Blank Do? And this week we're putting Chantel in the hot seat for What Would Chantel Do? Welcome, Chantel, from the education team. Are you ready to be in the hot seat?
No pressure, no pressure.
All right. So we should mention that What Would Chantel Do is sponsored by Southwest Vacations, your go-to tour operator for domestic and international travel. So did you ever think you'd be sponsored? I love when I get to say that because it's just so funny. All right, here's the situation. The clients would like to travel over the holiday season and would prefer to use points that they have with Southwest. But as we know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, flights not available yet. The schedule's not available yet. So
Right.
What's the best way to proceed with this booking? This happens to be for a group, but it's really just for two families that are looking to use those points. They have a larger family, so we're looking for some larger accommodations. And we know already that holiday travel is booking up. And so what do you suggest as far as how do you proceed with this booking to get land booked, but you really don't know what the heck's going to go on with the air?
Well, I think first of all, because you have a specific scenario with these families, and it sounds like the accommodations, you're looking for specific accommodations. I think you might have to work backwards on this one and look at the accommodations first to lock that in. Because like you said, it is crazy when you start looking. We're at the end of April.
I know.
We're looking into November for holiday travel. So I think finding those accommodations that are going to fit that family, locking that in first. Secondly, with Southwest, well, we know with all the airlines right now, it's mayhem, right? How many schedule changes are we going to get between now and November? On top of that, Southwest doesn't have their flights out yet. I think it warrants a really good conversation with the clients. Are they locked into using their points? You and I and everybody else on this call knows when you go to use points, it's not necessarily the flights you want, it's what they're telling you you can use with the points, right?
Mhm.
So they're going to have to wait on that because the schedules aren't out yet. I would give them an option looking at the accommodation. Is there another carrier right now that has flights available? If they're nonstop flights, if that's what they're looking for, is it United, American, Delta? What are they offering right now to give your clients that option to say, listen, you can wait. You don't know what the schedule is going to be, and take a chance in rolling the dice on when those come out.
Mhm.
Or B, this is a package I can put together for you right now. We can confirm, these flights now with the caveat that flight schedules can happen and things like
Yeah,
that, but at least they would have the entire package put together right now. Does that
right.
make sense?
Absolutely. And it sounds like we also maybe want to look for a supplier that's got some flexible change and cancel penalties so that, and that
Yes.
doesn't necessarily mean going direct to hotel anymore. We've got some suppliers out there that are really being quite generous with,
Right.
waiving some of those fees. So I think that's probably a piece as well. But like you said, right, Brian said it at the beginning, it's all about that communication piece and
Yes.
letting them see both sides of the picture.
Correct. Absolutely. I
Wonderful.
hope that
Well, thank
helps.
you so much. It does help, and sometimes you guys, it's not even, sometimes you just need a sounding board with a lot
Yeah.
of these things. What would you do? And together you can kind of work it out. So I appreciate your time today. We're going to have another one in a couple weeks. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Do you want to know who the winner is real fast?
Oh, yes. So who was our first winner? Anna Marie.
And we have Karen Theta.
Ah, wonderful. You guys will make sure that these names get passed off to Dan and Cheryl. Thanks so much, Chantel.
Thank
You
you.
guys, we have had a great show. I'm super excited for next week. I do want to give you a heads up on what we've got going on next week. Next week, we are going to celebrate Cinco de Mayo and Travel Advisor Appreciation Day. And we have a fantastic author coming on. Her name is Geraldine Ree. She's been in the industry for many, many years. And during COVID, well, she started the book many years ago. During COVID, she finished writing this book. It's available on Amazon. She is going to be on talking with us about the book. It is a fantastic resource for new agents, and it's great for experienced agents as well, because it gives you tips and tricks and things that maybe you've just kind of forgotten over the years as you've rolled through your business and become a little rote, like me. So it's available on Amazon. She's going to be here next week if you feel inclined to purchase it and read it. It's a very easy read. I've got all my highlights, pencil marks and everything in there. So feel free to purchase it, read it, so that you can join in the conversation next week. We want to thank all of our show sponsors today, Apple Leisure Group Vacations for being our show sponsor, and all of our segment sponsors, and of course, Dan and Cheryl from Cayman Islands Department of Tourism. They were absolutely fantastic. You guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the Kentucky Derby, and we'll see you next week for the first week of May. Have a great day, everyone.